Welcome to Tea and Tarot with me, your host, Yashna. Each week I'll share what I've learned as I dive deeper into the world of tarot. I've got my cards in front of me, my cup of tea, and I can't wait to share this journey with you. This is Tea and Tarot.
Welcome to Tea and Tarot with me, Yashna. I hope you have enjoyed our journey through the major arcana. We've now wrapped up that entire chapter of this podcast of everything. That's 22 episodes that have gone towards the major arcana. That is so crazy and unbelievable to me. I am so grateful I got to go on this journey, and obviously it's not done. There's all the minor arcana. There's so many other ideas and content that I want to create as part of this whole learning journey that I've been on. But as I start prepping the next episodes and as I'm getting ready for what comes next, I just wanted to do some quick summations and reflections on the major arcana. So for this week, I am putting together some little snippets from each of the past episodes. As you may remember, if you've been following my journey, I got the beautiful Tarot for Light Seers Guidebook by Chris Ann. It is the extended guidebook for this deck, for the series, and it has been such a companion through all of this learning. I love the visuals and the stories and just everything that is in this book. After I got it, I did a little quick read through of all of the different stories that are in here for each of the different major arcana characters. Or not characters, but cards. So for today's episode, I'm not really sharing anything new, but I thought it'd be fun to just bring together all my little snippets of reading each of the major arcana stories together in one compilation. So hopefully you enjoy it. Next episode, I will actually be doing a reflection of everything I've learned till now with the major arcana and kind of just sharing some fun tidbits that I've learned along the way. I obviously haven't done every single one of the major arcana spreads from this book yet because I only got this a few cards in, but I will be doing a lot of those as I do the minor arcana breakdowns because those don't have their own individual spreads in this book. There are some in other books that I have, but yeah, stay tuned and enjoy a look back at all of these stories. So to start off, I'm going to read the full story. On the edge of an epic journey, the fool peers into the abyss below and senses the seed of life calling out to her. She sees the opportunity and stardust swirling, and she knows that her dream begins with a single step. She's not sure what she will learn or exactly where she's headed, but she has clarity about one thing. She will need to jump in order to begin. With her crystal amplifier to guide her and her wand to protect her, she feels her toes slide past the threshold of her current reality. She sends one last intention prayer up to the universe and lets go, feeling the rush of the unknown rise up to meet her. She falls into the void where her beautiful future awaits. So moving on to the next card, the Magician. The Magician's story is: deeply entranced by his state of co-creation, the magician harnesses the power of the elements with the skill of a masterful alchemist. In doing so, he unites the world above with the world below. He shapes his reality by aligning the cosmos and the earth into the present moment. He doesn't believe he is creating his reality through thought alone. Rather, he is aligning his life with one of the many possibilities that already exist in the swirling ocean of potential. He brings his imagined world to reality by moving ideas from the ethereal plane to the physical plane, and he gives them shape, life, and form. He is a powerful manifester who speaks the ancient languages of elements, healing, training, and magic. With the infinity sign stitched into his hood and Metatron's sigil tattooed on his arm, he's reminded of his innate ability to connect the perpetual cycle of source energy that flows between the cosmos and the earth. He speaks steadily, as above, so below, and his creation bubbles up from his universe cauldron. The universe whispers back, as within, so without. He is grateful for his emerging creation before it arrives, and he believes. Oh, how he believes, and so it is. Moving on to the High Priestess. The High Priestess sits at the threshold of the Akashic records, with one foot softly rooted in this conscious reality and the other one dipping deeply into the unconscious realm. Between light and dark, she stills her mind and connects to the field of information above her. Eyes fluttering, she senses the tingling sensation of the glyphs, and as the symbols trickle down, she accesses the mysteries beyond the veil. Oh, sweet elucidations of wisdom and insight. Even though her eyes are closed, she invites you to look deeper and see the unseen vision that they hold. With ancient wisdom and a deep connection to the ethers, she understands your path with profound clarity. Her keys: intuition and mystical illumination. She is the keeper of the arcane secrets of the universe. She trusts in her yin energy, waiting instead of pushing, receiving, and rooting instead of reaching. For she knows that patience allows emerging magic to germinate in the void. In stillness, she invites you to find your innate seer and to step into your own translation of the mysteries. Keep it moving. The Empress, Major Arcana number 3. Her story: the Gaian Empress looks out over the earth, her favorite creation, and she sends out a low, nurturing hum from deep within her core, a vibration of love, of grounding energy, of positive answers and outcomes. Her echo reverberates through the fish that swim around her and into the ground beneath her, and she watches it all teem to life with infinite creator potential. With an exhale of love, she leans on her moon scepter and sends gravitational harmony to the oceans and earth. She reminds us that the earth is abundantly fertile and that it can evolve and co-create whatever it can imagine for itself. Mossy forests, oceans, health, romance, epic love stories, creative insight, soul-nurturing stories, and every miracle of life one could imagine. I don't know if I had looked closely enough at the card to realize there's a ton of fish in the ocean. I did notice there were waves over her shoulders. I think I already know this, but yeah, the Empress is linked to Mother Gaia. I think I noted her linkage to some of the other goddesses, but Gaia is from old Greek and Roman mythology, and she was Mother Earth. She was the mother of all titans. I think I'm saying all of this from memory, and I'm just going to go with it, but that is what I think it was. But kind of mother of all. So the card linking to Mother Gaia is representative of the sacred feminine, fertility, holding us all with her love. The School of Fish is representative of abundance, a situation teeming with life, spiritual gifts. There's moss at the bottom, and that is for being grounded. The branches and leaves are for nature, beauty, creator of life. The full moon scepter is the string of lights connecting around the moon is the scepter, and that is nourishing power. She generally is representative of the daughter of heaven and earth, and she is pregnant with the world, representing growth, expansion, creation energy, the expectation of prosperity. The secondary quote that comes with the Empress is, "You are love, you are ruler, you are nurturer. You are creativity and the miracle of life entwined. You are all of these things, and you are safe to breathe life into the world that you desire to create." The meaning, as Chris has written it, is so beautiful. But part of me has this inkling in the back, remembering Gaia from the Percy Jackson series, where she was very much not the loving Mother Gaia that is described here in this book. But there are many different interpretations of these ancient characters, And Percy Jackson just so happens to be the one that I really read and grew up with. So that's the first one that I'm thinking of. Okay. And now, number 4, the Emperor. His story. The Emperor is a creative, innovative leader, and he knows it. He sits on his Mars throne, contemplating his next move and watching over his domain with the control, assuredness, and the consistent guidance of a skilled leader. He tempers his fiery Aries energy with discipline and strategy, structure, and consistent action, for he knows that this is how he will find success. His ram's skull hanging on the wall is a constant reminder that he must use his power wisely and that selfish motives will lead to his demise. A wise leader looks after his people, shares his energy and service to them, and understands that his strength is a direct reflection of his relationship with others. He understands that the unity of the whole is his greatest asset. Well, that and his collection of imported chessboards. He learns to listen to others' needs as he moves towards his goals. If he is overly pragmatic and forgets to marry his logical mind with his compassion and his heart, he risks being too strict and structured. His disciplined success radiates when he leads with service in his heart and follows with the strategy in his head. The Hierophant is the keeper of the sacred, and he sits at the steps of a spiritual pilgrimage. Every stair is a lesson that is unique to the individual who walks the path. He has always known that his primary path in life was to show others the doorway, and he sits smiling at the base of a step-by-step spiritual journey, welcoming guests with open arms. Hieros is a Greek word meaning sacred, and font has its roots in the Greek to show. As he warmly greets those who arrive, he reminds them of their own divine makeup. You are made of God's stuff, he calls out, fashioned with the same forces of creation that inspired the stars. As an awakened master, he is the personification of the gateway between the divine source and the people he serves. He holds in his mind's eye the energies of all religions, and he recognizes that, organized or not, there is a deep wisdom at the heart of all spiritual teachings. It's the people who fail us, he winks. He lives a life of humility and service, but always in a way that demonstrates self-love. His t-shirt displays the prongs of the original Hierophant's Trinity scepter because he openly holds admiration for the old gods and for the many wondrous faces of the divine that speckle our expanding universe. Starting with the story of the card's depiction, the world slows as two souls gaze attentively at each other. Like yin and yang, these entwined figures embody the concept of duality. Two hearts, two energetic systems. She carries with her the initiations and tattoo markings that remind her of lessons learned in Card 5, the Hierophant. Who she is today is a result of everything she has done and experienced. Her wounds, her desires, and her beliefs will all carry forward into this forthcoming relationship. The orbiting spirals of emotion and attractive lull the couple into euphoria, and yet she knows there always comes a choice to really allow herself to fall into this partnership and merge with this new energetic offer, to become a part of a totally new creation, or to block off her heart and not fully experience what this love has to offer. Her hair flows toward him, and attraction threatens to whisk her away. Will she lose her bearings? Will this new opportunity blossom? She remembers that clenching on to any one thing in fear will not actually keep it with her in the long run. Cupid marks her arm with a new sigil, and she bravely takes one step closer to this man, his graying hair a sign of a long life of challenges and joys lived before this moment, promising to remain true to her heart, no matter what happens, and to love herself so completely that she can support this pairing with her own light, her love, and her magic. So, reading the Chariot story from the Light Seers Guidebook. The charioteer is perched steadily atop his carriage, galloping towards his destination. Energetic rains of light and shadow flow down from the cosmos and direct his movement. And while these celestial forces seem like they are headed toward opposite paths, he coaxes them forward toward one destination. They rush ahead quickly, working with one another as he remains laser-focused, determined, and on the move. He controls his trajectory through sheer willpower and rushes to the best version of his future by taking inspired action. He knows his time is precious and that he must act in order to ride the momentum of this energy. To stay is to stagnate, and he wants to evolve, knowing that lessons will unfold as he speeds on to these new experiences. Looking up at the starry sky, he knows he is never alone, and that spirit is with him always. The spinning shadow and light energy twists into a path before him, showing him the way forward. Galloping ahead, he feels his power arise, and from the back of his throat, the words, "I am," begin to emerge, and he smiles, feeling fully alive and ready to take on the world. So to start, let me read the strength story that is shared in the Tarot for Light Seers Guidebook. And this is the story the artist has around why strength is depicted the way she is. Strength's nature is so calm and gentle that even the baby lamb feels safe in her presence. She stands quietly, serene and relaxed, and allows this energy to guide her every move. Beneath her soft and youthful exterior lies the strength and the courage of a lion. In times of peril, she always has access to the steady wisdom that resides within, for she has merged with the spirit of her animal guide, and he leads her to an inner refuge of deep peace. The kingly beast has taken up residence within her heart, where she has been slowly learning how to embody his courage and wisdom. Her quiet, humble bravery and her honest motivations have impressed him, so he gives her an understanding of fierce power, and she promises to embody it fully. Whenever she is faced with danger or uncertainty, his empowering sovereignty will allow her to exude grace and confidence, and to bravely stand against the monsters of the world. Roaring warmly through her kind smile, he fills their heart with a consistent, peaceful gratitude, and together with their shared compassion, they exert gentle influence and control over their domain. Actually, let's start off with reading the story about the hermit before jumping into what all the symbols mean. So reading the hermit story from the Light Seers, Tarot for Light Seers Guidebook. She walks the path, using her lantern to light her way through the dark corners of the night. She has learned all she can from her current situation, so she drops her candle, her devices, her connections to other people's opinions and voices. She even leaves her trusted tarot cards behind, for she knows that it is time to set the traditional tools aside and walk the rest of the path alone. It's the only way that she will be able to hear the beating pulse of her own spirit, her only true guidance. Her heart leads her to the top of her inner mountain to spend some time in quiet contemplation. She looks out at the horizon and understands that her own internal compass may shift after she passes through this process of integrating her shadow and light. Here, at the precipice of her knowing, she sits in introspection. She forges her faith. She listens. She up-levels her belief. She feels. She journeys. She learns. Oh, an enlightenment, an awakening, an illumination. When she is ready, she knows she must say goodbye to her hermit experience and return to her life below. If she doesn't, she risks becoming too isolated and withdrawn. She knows she wants to experience the richness and fullness of life with others. With gratitude, she leaves her steady candle burning brightly at the foot of the path, where it will illuminate the way for others. She no longer needs it to see where she is headed, as she has become her own brightest light and can safely illuminate her way home. The Wheel Story. She spins her wheel with all the wonders of curiosity and creation in her eyes. She whispers her quintessential invocations as she spins. Here we go. All or nothing. Randomness, synchronicity, fractal and repeating, patterned and karmic, luck, fate, freedom. She lets the wheel go and stands over her spinning discs, gleefully watching the 8 arrows of chaos slip in and out of probabilities. They simultaneously point to the 8 stages of the year and to the roulette of possibilities for the seeker's answer. All the while perched on the foot, she knows that she has harnessed all the light and all the shadow to create this destiny. If she leans too far in either direction, she may fall out of balance and land at the bottom. She's fallen before, and she will do it again, each time learning and growing from the experience. But not this time. She isn't really sure if it's her luck or divine intervention that keeps her at the top of the wheel today. She does know, however, that every time the wheel spins, she feels as though she is cycling upward through the very same lessons. And those lessons vibrate a little differently each time, getting easier to navigate or getting more intense depending on her ability to maneuver her mindset. She has learned that her perspective is an extraordinary asset, and she prepares to throw the lucky die she carries around her neck. She shakes them in her hand, kisses her knuckles, leans towards her badass belief, and winks at faith. With a giggle, she casts her lot and hopes, with all her wishful thinking, that her magical mindset will keep her balanced at the top once more, and she readies her footing as it begins to spin again. I'm going to read the Justice story from the Tarot for Light Seers Guidebook. Justice holds her sword out skillfully, and she tunes into the question asked of her. She feels the changing winds pick up and pass through her hands, and she waits for the feeling of balance to arrive as she whispers her values. Morality, intention, truth, integrity. While her sword can be used for slicing through the darkness in order to seek truth, she prefers to use it more gently, picking up on the thoughts and intentions of the seeker. In this way, she can balance and weigh their outcomes objectively. Justice believes that actions provoke reactions in things being either right or wrong, and understands truth as well as deception. She believes in the universal moral code that she upholds, and easily sees the error in other people's thinking. In shadow, she witnesses the way our emotional state can easily cloud our judgment, the connection to ego, the lies. She watches how quickly we tend to see things from our very limited perspectives, often condemning others before having all the facts. She knows that fear will usually cause us to act in ways we're not proud of, and that the only elevating path lies rooted in deeper truths. She understands, yet holds us accountable regardless, and with a steady hand, she asks us to look at our responsibilities, our choices, and our excuses with love. The Hanged Man story from the Tarot for Light Seers Guidebook. Strapping into an aerial yoga sling to prepare, the Hanged Man prepares herself for total surrender and for the pause she knows is required of her. The Hanged Man archetype is often attributed to the Norse god Odin as he swings on the tree of Yggdrasil. In the Odin myth, he hung for 9 days and nights, surrendering to death in order to glean wisdom from the runes. By letting go and sacrificing himself for himself and his own wisdom, he was gifted access to the deep mysteries of life that were carved into the language and symbols of the rune. Our Hanged Man has come to a place in her journey where a similar surrender is necessary, and like Odin, she is intentional in her actions. She checks the straps and pushes beyond her current boundaries and releases it all. And from this flipped vantage point, she reaches toward the magic that awaits and toward her own runic insights. By fully surrendering and accepting what is, the epiphany of the present brings inner peace. To start the breakdown, I am going to read the death and rebirth story that is in the Tarot for Light Seers Guidebook. The Reaper steps into view and stares at the Seeker. He knows his appearance usually causes panic, and he wants us to know that he isn't usually meant to be taken literally. He's here to share his healing wisdom and to illuminate the potential he holds to transmute and transform your life. Taking one step closer, he pushes back his hood to reveal his inner landscape. A blossoming forest teeming with life. Its trees mimic the land you already know, yet it has the brightest of opportunities shining down from its center. Familiar territory, but vibrating at a higher dimension. He reminds us that before this new world can take root, something old must cease to be. This is the natural ebb and withering of things that are no longer being nourished, and the dying of one form so that it can shift into another. Peacefully, he watches his old reality fall away to make space for this new birth. Gently, he opens his cloak to you during this metamorphosis, knowing that it will mark a major change in your life and that you will emerge transformed. The story for Temperance from the Tarot for Light Seers Guidebook. The Angel of Temperance is a master alchemist. Processing the energies of life, she weaves them into potent experiences and lessons, which she will then turn into spiritual gold. She sits quietly. After the teachings of the Hanged Man's powerful pause and death's transformational rebirth, she finds herself in a place of perfect balance, and all of the elements are waiting to be spun into something new. You will see the alchemist symbol for gold tattooed on her arm, a mark of her transcendental and seraphic magic. She is able to effortlessly wield opposites, the yin and yang, the divine masculine and feminine, past and present, the heavens and the earth, the material and the spiritual. This is her purpose and what gives her such an incredible strength of spirit. She seeks balance and equilibrium, and when blending different parts of self, she always weaves something uniquely truthful. The ease with which she holds the energy of the sun and moon in each hand seems deceptively easy. The sheer strength it takes to harness, fold, and fuse these opposites is tremendous. She accomplishes the impossible with grace, fluidity, and certainty. She reminds you that in the realm of the divine, everything is possible, and that future, which you can imagine for yourself, is also something that can be alchemized and created by the gods, or by the way they work through you. Sometimes you can even balance different options and straddle two different paths at the same time, because with the magic of meaning and purpose, you can fuse the elements of life any which way you desire. So, in the book it's called A Devil's Story. The devil reaches out his hand, gently wooing you, welcoming you into his circle. His intensity is as much physical as it is spiritual. On one hand, he offers a release from the mundane, a time to break free from the rules and the chains that you placed upon yourself. He offers you the chance to dance in ecstasy and liberation, and he will accompany you to the darkest corners of your heart in order to see the places where the light needs to be let in. In this way, he offers great healing and a chance to witness and release your own shadows. Freedom. He lures you in with promises of pleasure, material abundance, and all the earthly feels. On the other hand, he hides the fact that while he will bring you to the darkness, you will be left to your own devices to find your way home. He doesn't remind you that this path can lead to addiction and imprison you because he knows that you already knew that before he arrived. He cannot make choices for you, and he does not force his energy upon anyone. He invites. That is all. He is both the invoking and the banishing, the vice and the liberation, and the feeling trapped and the feeling free. Smoothly, he extends his hand, waiting for you to accompany him. Some who have joined him have become too dependent on him and thus feel manipulated under that hand, alone, chained, desperate. Yet, like all the teachers in the tarot, he is not good or evil. He just is. He represents a dark illumination, a choice, your falling and your willingness to heal. I am going to read the story for the Tower from the Tarot for Light Seers Guidebook. This squirrel has been hoarding nuts for the whole season. He's been making his nest, organizing his assets, and lining his bunker with extra supplies. Everything in perfect order. Until suddenly, it's not. Out of the blue, a storm erupts, bringing electric change to his plans. One flash and his home has been hoisted out from underneath him. His super safe, secure provisions of precious hazelnuts begin to dissipate in front of his eyes, and even his belief about the nature of his own reality is being tested. He's paralyzed, at first by fear, and by the sky, which seems to be falling. He watches, stunned and speechless. And even though it's chaotic, abstract, and surreal, he can't help but notice the floating embers, like fireflies in the sky. Amidst chaos, he still sees the beauty in the landscape. He blinks, eyes stinging in the heat, and the tiny flames seem to move and transform like butterflies. Are they flames or butterflies? Through the smoke, he can't really tell. All he knows is that nothing will be the same after the sparks go out. And that's the story. I'm going to read a star story from the Tarot for Light Seers Guidebook. After living through the chaos of the tower, the star emerges from the ashes with her own feelings of renewed hope. She can't pinpoint exactly why she's feeling this way, yet she is. With a deep breath in, she steps out of the galaxy pool and sits at the edge of the earth. Warmth, beaming, light. There's so much to do from here, so many things to see, and so many places to go. She looks up and instantly remembers where she came from, and feels grateful to have this beautiful opportunity to live renewed. What a gift from the gods! A spiritual being in a flesh and bones experience. She reaches her heart up to the stars and connects with her guiding glow. Subtly, at first, ancient memories begin to stir within her soul. A remembering, a reawakening, a connection long forgotten. And now she knows what she is, and what she came here to do. Her timeline glows, the most beautiful of hues, as inspiration pours down from the stars. Pure, honest, divine. Hopeful and expectant, she tugs on her light and watches as her miracle starts to flow. I'm going to start this one off with a moon story from the Tarot for Light Seers Guidebook. A wolf and a dog howl up at the moon, one aloof, wild, and cunning, the other friendly, eager to please, and affectionate. One is a potential danger and the other her companion, but from this distance and in this light she finds it hard to discern which is which. When they both turn to her and begin to advance, she struggles to tell them apart in the dark. The shadows and light play tricks in the reflecting water, making it impossible to see the details of the path she is walking. Were they both running at her or away from her? She panics, imagining the worst, and she trips into the water, flailing desperately. Her mind races. Her layered dress is suddenly so heavy, and somehow her head is underwater. She struggles, wrapping herself up in the many layers, trying to discern up from down. Air, motion, gasp. She needs air. And just when her fear is about to overtake her, a stream of light grazes her hand. The moon. She pauses, surrenders, and she finds her bearings. The moonlight streams down through the water, and she notices how it dances on the bubbles around her, and the way that they float upward, guiding her to safety. She realizes that the moment she stopped struggling was the moment she began to float to the surface. Drifting in the liminal, she surrenders, and when she finally breaks through the surface, she breathes in all the magic of the moment. With renewed trust, she thanks the moon for its light and its guidance, and she reaches for the shore, where a wagging tail meets her with affection. To start this off, I am going to read the sun story from the Tarot for Light Seers Guidebook. Only in these moments under the warm sun does she feel totally alive. Her heart chakra vibrates, her solar plexus radiates, and she feels nurtured by the sunlight and by the energy of life itself. She steps into her power and her confidence, and she calls out to the small photons, the particles of light and heat that burst forth from the sun, and she imagines them showering down all around her. They create the most spectacular patterns, cascading both frequency and tone, and they fill up her energy body with a vibrant and potent light force. Each elemental particle comes bundled with tiny bits of cosmic information, patterns of knowing, states of being, the capacity to love, and an overabundance of magic. She begins to dance, hearing the messages held within these ancient rays of joy. She can't see them, but she can feel them flooding her system. She feels connected to this positive frequency, and she celebrates under the spinning heavens, opening up to life itself. I am going to start by reading the judgment story from the Tarot for Light Seers Guidebook. When the call sounded, it was unmistakably hers, harmonic, vibrating, magnetic. She heard it resounding through her soul, beckoning her with its emotion and truth. There was nothing she could do but stand up and listen. Nothing could keep her from meeting this part of herself. It was time. The call asked her to listen deep within and to find her sacred why. It beckoned her to truly dedicate herself to its path. She's known what it's like to live a life based on fear and to live inside of that box, that category, an illusion. She walked that path for so long it felt like other people's ideas of who she was became more important than her own sense of self. But she has finally seen how far she strayed from her true nature. Here, she witnessed herself, her true self, for the very first time. Light and shadow revealed. And in the shadows of this reckoning lies the profound wisdom of judgment. She could never push the truth down so far that it would truly disappear, and that all of those past actions, thoughts, and decisions remained bundled inside of her sense of self, and that it was up to her to decide their meaning. Her honest self-evaluation called her toward new levels of self-realization and ignited her purpose. And when she awakened to her true nature, she realized that the only form of acceptance that actually affects our ascension is that which lives inside of our own hearts. As usual, I am going to start by reading the world story from the Tarot for Light Seers Guidebook. The world steps into her Ouroboros ring, ready to celebrate her achievements. As she steps up, the ring begins to ascend. Light shines down from above and floods her senses with the soft hum of her illuminations. Success. Completion. You did it. It carries her higher, and she feels her whole body begin to vibrate with this upgrade of consciousness. She senses the union of her spiritual and earthly selves, and her reality shifts as her inner spiritual landscape merges with her outer reality. She remembers that moment when long ago she first stepped off the edge of the cliff and into the Fool card, falling right into the sacred geometric lesson with all of her innocence in tow. Back then, she had no idea how to stay afloat. Now, inside of that very same sacred geometric ring, she climbs effortlessly. She has mastered this level of awareness, and her experiences have become an integral part of who she is. She holds the rings lovingly. In them, she senses a support system, a teacher, a mentor, a friend, as all of the wisdom she has gained on her journey abides within them. She learned, she tried, she fell, she stood up again, and now she has finally arrived. Celebrating this joyous moment, every cell falls into resonance with the universe around it. And she rises. She knows that the end of one cycle signifies the beginning of another, and it fills her heart with joy to know that she will jump back into the position of the Fool and begin a new journey soon. But for now, the sweetness of success awaits, and it's time to celebrate this win. Thank you for listening to Tea and Tarot with Yashna. This episode was produced, hosted, and edited by me, Yashna Bensel, and brought to you by Tea Time Podcasts. The tarot reading was done using the Light Seers deck by Chris Ann, and readings were done using the Tarot for Light Seers Guidebook by Chris Ann. Music was made using SoundRaw. Join me next week for another episode of Tea and Tarot.